Hey, my Legion, how y'all doing today? I thought I'd do some movie reviews. I saw three movies on Netflix last night. Three drastically different movies on Netflix. Cause run all the way from wrestling to family film to somewhat adult documentary. Just like me, I go run the gamut of different things. And the one that I always feature in the title usually is the one that I think would be the most popular amongst my subscribers. And that one is being Hitman Hart Wrestling with Shadows. Now, this was a movie made in 1998, and I saw it a long time ago on AMC, not AMC, A&E. And and this is the first time I saw it uncut. And I wonder, it was said rated R. I don't remember. You watch the movie and it's not like it's made PG 13. And then Pat Patterson starts talking with the F word, and then you realize why it's R rated. If it wasn't for Pat Patterson, it probably would have been PG 13. But oh well. I'm mentioning Canadian cinema next to the title of the Hitman Hart, the movie title, because the Going Down the Road video that I did last, well, over a little over a year ago has over 1,000 views now. Going Down the Road Canadian cinema. So I'm going to put Canadian cinema on this because on the third frame, on the credits, it says National Board of Canada. And he's a proud Canadian wrestler too, from a Canadian, very popular Canadian, probably the most famous wrestling dynasty in Canada, the Harts. And it talks about events leading up to, well, his life and the events leading up to the infamous Montreal screw job. That's what they called it, where Vince screwed him over. And basically, it talks about his life and coming up, and his dad Stu Hart, like, he'd have the dungeon underneath their house. They call it the Hart Dungeon. And it trained so many wrestlers, but it was also infamous because he put people in these holds, incredibly painful holds, and they have like they actually had a recording. His mom got Owen to record it, like people screaming for their lives and stuff like that, because he put them in like some of the most painful holds and leave them there. You know, just they said learn some discipline, and basically talks about his family life and also, you know, him being like the consummate good guy in WWE, and then the Attitude Era came about with Stone Cold and stuff like that, and things started changing, and then he started getting booed, and then he was saying like he started lashing out against American audiences. He says American audiences don't know nothing. The Canadian, I'm here for Canada, not for the Americans anymore, because the Americans were booing him and cheering Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was thinking about leaving for WCW, and because Vince wanted to end his 20-year contract, and they were going to offer him like $9 million over 3 years. Ted Turner is back when WCW was beating Raw in the ratings, and Vince said that he couldn't afford to have Bret Hitman Hart in there. He wanted to end his contract, and he said leads up to the Survivor Series, infamous Survivor Series with Shawn Michaels, and he said, and he had something in his contract saying the last 30 days he has creative control over his character, and he said that he wanted to win the title and keep the belt, and then the next day he would come on and say that he'd leave and he would forfeit the belt, but he wanted to leave on top. He didn't want them to kill his character. And Vince said, okay, what do we want to do? And he actually wore a wire into the meeting. And all of a sudden, they had the match. Shawn Michaels put him in a lock, and then Vince McMahon called the match, and then he made him win the title, and Bret Hitman Hart lost, and he said, I realized they screwed me. And then that's infamous when it got real, when Hitman Hart spit in Vince McMahon's face, and then he found him in the back and punched him out real hard. And then, of course, Vince used that to his advantage and made himself a bad guy. He made a Bret Hitman Hart bad guy. This is all towards the Attitude Era, when they got real raunchy before they started watering stuff down. This is a great documentary. Like I said, I haven't seen this in ages. And I thought I saw it, and then when I started watching, I remember bits and pieces. Yeah, I did see it a long time. This gets a full on 10 out of 10. One thing I wanted to mention, when this was made in 98, they were still calling themselves WWF, not WWE, and they changed that later on. One sad thing is a lot of the wrestlers you see in the movie are now dead. And there's one that stay in movie, the review gets serious. I love wrestling, but wrestling has an incredible dark side, a very dark history, more so than any other sport or sports entertainment. Yeah, it's just sad seeing all these wrestlers that are no longer with us, like Hawk and Mr. Perfect and Brian Pillman, all these people. It's a shame. But the movie's a 10 out of 10. It's available on Netflix if you haven't seen it. It's really good for all my wrestling fan friends out there. Now, another movie that I saw just by accident is The Boxcar Children. Now, what makes this movie special is this is the only movie my dad ever talked about, any ever book my dad ever talked about reading when he was a kid. And when he was in the middle school or fifth, sixth, or seventh grade, he started reading these books. And there's a series of books. I don't know how many there are. He said he couldn't remember. But he was always telling me how much he loved these books. And I never heard about it. And then I think my sister rented one or two because they had them in her library, I guess. And she was telling me that she was kind of making fun of the book. And I said, she was saying it was like written for little kids and stuff like that. I said, don't tell Dad that. It will really hurt his feelings, you know. And I never read the books. I mean, I might have read a page or two, but I remember the Hardy Boys and stuff. Because I didn't know about the books till much later. And either this was when I got out of the Army, before the Army, my sister was still in school, or after the Army. I can't remember. And I just said, don't tell Dad, you'll hurt his feelings, you know. And I saw the movie. The movie is made in 2014, and it's computer animated. The computer animation's not the greatest, but it's good enough, and the colors are real bright and vibrant. The biggest problem is there's a dog in there, and the dog just does not look right. The dog looks terrible. I mean, but aside from that, it's really good. It's just not. I mean, there's too many snobs nowadays, cinema snobs. They'll probably say it's not Pixar. It's not Pixar. But I mean, it's still pretty good. It's not like DreamWorks or the ones you see in the theaters, but it was actually really good. My niece told my mom about it. And my niece said she loved the movie. And I really enjoyed the movie, too. My dad liked the movie, and he was crying towards the end. I was crying somewhat towards the end. And basically, it's about like a group of orphans, and their parents passed away. And they're kind of like just trying to find a place to live, because they think their grandfather's really mean and it would be very mean to them. So they wanted to leave, and they didn't want to be with their grandfather. And they're on their own. They go to this bakery and stuff, and they were going to stay the night, and then they said they were going to send one kid to the orphanage. And they end up finding an abandoned boxcar, and they end up turning that into their home, and they live in the boxcar. And to make ends meet, they work for this one doctor. And I don't want to give away much more. It's really good. I enjoyed it. Like I said, the dog doesn't look right, but aside from that, I mean, even I let that go. It's not made by major studios. It's released by Phase 4 Films. But I give that an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I think my sister will like it. I told my dad, I bet you Taylor would like this. And then I found out that Taylor loved it. Because she said, I left a comment on my sister's Facebook page. And she said that Sissy, that means her daughter, told her about it. And Taylor said, I love this movie. And it's really good. Like I said, 8 out of 10. If you get a chance, it's fun for the whole family. It's a very gentle film. It's completely different from the Hitman Hart, Wrestling with Shadows, and the next movie I'm going to review, The Truth About Webcam Girls. And basically it's about they talk about, it's a British-made movie. The BBC made it. It's like 56 minutes long. It must have been a special. And they talk about 3 girls who do work on webcam, and that's like a sexual thing, like adult film thing. If you ever watch, you ever go to like the YouTube, the porn tube ones like Aloha Tube and stuff like that. They have like webcam things, or Hamster.com has webcam things. And basically it's girls on webcams, and they and you pay it's like £3 a minute or something like that, a lot of money. And they just answer your question. They act real dirty, and so some get naked. And this one girl was doing cooking in her underwear, and also playing Xbox in her underwear. It was pretty interesting, but the the biggest problem is it's a very well made movie, but it focuses on three girls. Two of the girls aren't interesting at all, and the only girl that's interesting is Nicole, the second one. She's the only one that's really that interesting. The other girls are, I mean, it's not like I'm not saying that they're not. I'm not talking about looks or nothing like that. Just not interesting to carry a movie. And basically, it's only 56 minutes long. And Where's Us Welcome about 35 minutes. I was like, how much longer is this? I saw another 20 minutes. Oh God, this lasts forever. And it's only 56 minutes long. It seems like it lasts forever because it seems like you're just repeating the same thing over and over again. It's just like if there were three people, if there was like say an hour-long video, three different food reviewers, and they both review like a can of Pringles for an hour. After a while, it'd get boring because they just repeat themselves unless they go on a tangent about a story like I would or something like that. But it's okay. If it wasn't for Nicole, it'd be complete waste. Well, it wouldn't be complete waste. It'd be even more boring. But I'd give it a very mild 5 out of 10. So the definite winner is Bret Hitman Hart, Wrestling with Shadows, and Boxcar Children. And Truth About Webcam Girls. I mean, most guys would want to see it anyways, but there's not really that much nudity in it either. There is some, but it's just not that interesting. It just seems like they just repeat the same story. After a while, you kind of get bored because guys are visual, and about it's just not that good. So there you have 3 movie reviews. They couldn't be more different. Hitman Hart, Wrestling with Shadows, wrestling documentary. Boxcar Children, a very gentle family film. And The Truth About Webcam Girls, documentary about the adult industry. So, very different movies. So until next time, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this, and take care, my legion.